Hello and welcome, it's Deborah from Attic Lane and you're at day 9 of my 12 Cards of Christmas series, where I'm going to share as many different techniques and ideas as I can pack into each of these short daily videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything, and let's move on to today's card. These are some of the supplies that I'm going to be using, and I will list links to them at the bottom of this video. Now, I've decided to draw my own holly leaves, so this is my attempt at a holly leaf. I start out with 2, I will end up with 5 altogether, and I'm going to cut both of these out and then set them to one side. I've cut out a frame that will fit my top folding white card base, and these are some of the die cuts I'm going to use today. I've cut out a couple of these to give me some options. I've cut out 3 of these street lamp dies from My Favourite Things. I've cut out 3 because I'm going to use my quickie glue pen to layer these up so that when I add them to my card they have a little bit more depth to them and they're a bit more robust. They're very easy to layer up, just take your time with it. Use a wet glue to make sure that you can manoeuvre them and you've got some wiggle room. This is how I expect the street light to fit in my card, and I'm going to cut a snowdrift. So this is one of 2 snowdrifts that I'm going to cut out just by eye. I haven't marked any lines out, and one snowdrift will sit higher than the other. So I'm going to turn my card around and I'm going to cut my second snowdrift, very similar to the first one, and then I will cut them down the centre and I will layer them up, and I can change them around and I can reverse the card and I can see which combination I like the best. This is a wax. It's called Opal Magic Wax, and it will give a beautiful shine to my card. I don't want anything too strong. This card is all about subtlety. So I've added a little smudge of this Opal Magic Wax to the tops of both of my snowdrifts, and now I'm positioning them on the card to see how high up I want them to sit. I'm using my pencil to mark a line so that I know exactly where to cut them. In addition to my 2 snowdrifts, I also want to have a hill in the background, so I'm cutting a piece of scrap paper very roughly to give me a nice hill shape, and I will position that on my base card, and to give that some definition I'm going to use my wax again to highlight exactly where that falls, and I'm using a dry baby wipe just to take away the excess of that wax. I hope you can see the shimmer on the camera. I'm getting everything positioned on my card so I have an idea of where everything will sit, because I want to add some light where my lantern will be, and this will go behind the lantern. So I'm using a Versacolour Canary Yellow to add a very soft smudge of colour behind where my lantern will be. I want to add a line of trees in the background of my card, so I'm using a very gentle grey. It's Versacolour Cement, and I'm going to ink up one of my tree stamps from a Cardio Cards stamp set, and I'm going to position this once and twice on my card so that I get first impression and second impression. The first impression will be faint anyway because I'm using a soft grey, and those second impressions will be even softer, and it will look as if the trees are through a mist. I'm going to add my lowest snowdrift to the inside of the frame that I had already cut to go over my card, and I'm going to position that and make sure that my second snowdrift, which should sit slightly higher up, will be glued and put into the right position. In effect, I'm giving myself 3 little hills, 1 on the card itself and 2 snowdrifts. I'm gluing up my lantern and I'm putting that into position. I've already marked out on a pencil line where I want that to sit, and now I'm going to use craft foam to add depth to my frame. I'm adding a glue line to the inside of my frame, and now I'm going to add the craft foam. When that's finished all the way around that frame, I'm going to add a couple of little bits into my snowdrifts just to make sure that they don't sink and they stand out from the card. Now I can glue around all of the outside edge and I can position it over my card. Again, I'm using a wet glue to secure this to give myself some wiggle room if I don't get it quite right first time. Now we're going back to those little holly leaves that I cut out to begin with. I happen to be using a tattered lace embossing folder. You can use any folder you have as long as it has fine detail in it. It doesn't need to be festive or seasonal. I'm using my wax to go over those leaves, and this is why I wanted to emboss them, so there was some dimension there that would be picked up by the wax. And now I'm rolling them round a round tool before gluing them into place on the bottom left of my card. I've snipped a few of these little branches from the die cut, and I'm going to decide whereabouts I want to put them on my card. I don't want too many of these. I don't want to crowd the scene. I just want them to add a little bit of interest around the extreme edges. To complete the card, I'm using a sentiment from a My Favourite Things stamp, and I'm using my grey cement again to ink and stamp Merry Christmas in the bottom right corner. And with that, my card is complete. So I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you can join me tomorrow for day 10. And now I'm going to leave you with some music and some close-ups of today's card. I'll see you soon.